Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Big Finish Fans. In today's Big Finish Fans, we are reviewing the Fourth Doctor Series 11 and putting on the tier list what we did back in October, November time, was it?
Yeah, October. I'm pretty sure October.
So we'll be updating that. Once again, I'm joined with Luke.
Yes, hello everyone. Here I am once more.
Once more. So
Part of the furniture, really.
yeah, at this point you are. You're practically, if you're not there, it's a bit weird. So while I wait for a few people to join, what have you been doing? How have you been occupying yourself?
Finished up work this week for a little bit, so got a bit of time off. Listening to some Big Finish, really. That's
Oh, standard.
Yeah, I know. Shocking, isn't it?
Oh,
For
what?
Big Finish fans. But yeah, I think that's about it, really. How about you?
Did something quite, I guess, quite big and grand. I graduated
Just
university.
a little bit.
Just a little bit. I mean, it was quite Time Lordy with like a procession. And, you've got people wearing these different coloured gowns and you think, gosh, this is all like different houses of Gallifrey. It was all a bit mental, really.
Did you have to charge off and say, "Let me go, they'll kill him," as the university chancellor was in danger?
They weren't assassinated. Nobody was assassinated, thankfully.
That's
but
good to hear.
I feel like the heat nearly assassinated me because, my God, it was a hot one. It was a boiler.
Yeah, you had it on Tuesday, didn't you? So you were proper melting out there.
I was a puddle of all manner of stuff. But
a puddle of academic glory.
Yeah, it sums up my time at university very well. COVID and pandemic wise, yeah, it makes sense to end up as a puddle. But speaking of puddles, fitting the Doctor Who theme, I have dived into Emancipation of the Daleks, the recent audio novel, which is a lot of fun. It's just good to have 12 and Bill back, as I'm a huge Series 10 fan, and Jonathan Morris wrote probably my favourite 12th Doctor book, Plague City, and so far it's delivering very, very nice, chef kiss. And mainly I wanted to get it because I want a proper 12th Doctor Dalek story, and fingers crossed this is it, because Scourge of a Sideman, favourite Sideman story. Hopefully this will become possibly my favourite Dalek story. Who knows?
Yeah, certainly hearing you talk about it, I've been tempted to pick this one up now, to be honest. So we'll see whether or not I can be swayed with that, because it sounds quite exciting, this one. Like, is it giving you some Invasion Earth vibes as well, you mentioned?
Yeah, you've got the Robo-Men, which the way they're described is kind of like a mishmash of like the resurrection of the Dalek helmets with like the Peter Cushing sort of style costume Robo-Men.
I suppose that's timely.
Yeah, it's quite timely actually, like the 4K release, and then like the university sort of all in ruins, and you can just imagine it being like a desolated London from the Invasion Earth. So it's got some nice 60s feel, which suits Capaldi's Doctor brilliantly.
Yeah. They've always sort of given me a Judge Dredd vibe, those Robo-Men.
Yeah. I mean, they sort of have that same look as like the warlord security guards and stuff like that, don't they? So about them being in weird,
all in
leather.
Black leather.
Yeah. Maybe Daleks have got a weird fetish for leather. I don't know.
Oh dear.
I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah. There's some red highlights as well in there, isn't it? Maybe like a biker gang too on the side.
I mean, that would be Thin Ice, wouldn't it? The Ice Warriors were going to have like their own biker gang.
Oh yeah, it was like mind controlled with the. Did that come along in the? This is not Bill and 12th Doctor Thin Ice. This is 7th Doctor and Ace Thin Ice. Was that in the Lost Story adaptation, or?
I think they are. I think they are in it. I mean, it's been a while since I listened to it, but I do remember them being biker characters within it.
It does sort of suit that vibe when you look at survival, but at the same time.
Yeah.
Again, similar to what we spoke about last week with the 2nd Doctor Beyond War Games, Ice Warriors don't seem to really suit the present day or like contemporary.
But I quite like them in Thin Ice, actually. There's something quite, it's wrong to say wholesome, but there's something quite nice about an Ice Lord just enjoying a frozen fish finger. There's something quite pleasing about that for me. I don't know. I enjoy that aspect of it.
No custom with it, though.
No custard, a different doctor.
I wonder. It's funny, isn't it? How many times the Ice Warriors were going to return in the 80s and then ended up being cut off before they could.
And you think they would probably have to make like new costumes for them as well, wouldn't they? Because I don't think they would have survived storage.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what sort of look we could have gotten. Because obviously, Big Finish covers have just used the standard 60s look, but we could have got quite an updated look. Like, compare the Silurians in Warriors of the Deep to the original Silurians. There's certainly a few changes there. So you can imagine the Ice Warriors would have got a similar style of upgrade.
I mean, I think the new series one was a pretty nice revamp.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most authentic,
faithful.
besides the later Sontaran design.
I think secretly the Ice Warrior has probably been my favorite redesign. I mean, I do miss like the proper like Lego hands, but I'm fine with what they did.
I think for me, my problem is it seems a bit too sleek. Like, the thing about the original Ice Warriors design is that it was quite rough. But I feel like with this new one, you could sort of run your hand along the arm or something, and you just slide across no problem. Whereas with the old one, it has a lot more texture to it, I suppose.
I think that's down to Moffat thinking they were quite cumbersome. So I think Gate is like, right, I'm going to streamline them a little bit, so they're not these big lumbering lizard men.
It's funny how much difference you get in that, like the variety of Ice Warrior designs in the first Ice Warrior story, because you always remember like the what's the commander's name in the first story?
Is it Varga? No, not Varga.
Yeah, it is Varga, I think.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think it might be spelt slightly differently from the Varga plants, though. The one where the helmet nicely slots into the body, and I think they sort of used that in the Seeds of Death as well, and everything going forwards. Whereas, like, that's the main Ice Warrior you have on display, but you've also got like the one with the massive helmet.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have like the mouthpiece, does it?
Yeah.
And it's got like the tufts of fur on like the outside as well. So yeah, I mean that was seen right up until I think Monster Paladin.
That was in Monster as well. I think that's just because they sort of like needed more Ice Warriors to stretch out the numbers, really, didn't they? Whereas Curse, it was only 2 of them, so they just used the best 2 designs they could find.
I guess that's more about next week's stream.
Yeah, I suppose. Do you want to reveal that now? No, obviously,
we're doing a Ice Warrior tier list of all the TV Ice Warrior stories, so that will be the next week's stream. So that's all very exciting.
Yeah, we could go into some more discussions on Ice Warriors then.
I suppose first, exciting.
Have a quick check of the chat, see who's here.
Yes.
Have a bit of a roll call. Hello, stylish person. Welcome back. And hello, Caleb Smith. Oh, and hello, Commantier again.
Hello. Glad you could join us. And hello, lurkers, if you're watching. We appreciate you.
Stylish person says, warmest 2 days in the UK, and it rained for a wee bit where I live for the second day. Yeah, but it did start coming over quite grey towards the end on Tuesday.
Yeah, it was quite a muggy day, really. Yeah, towards the end of it.
Yeah.
Caleb Smith, I'm still on part 3 of Scourge of a Cyberman. I mean, that's a long part. That's like an hour and a half, isn't it?
Yeah, that one. That's the longest of the lot.
But it's a real good episode, I think.
Yeah, how are you finding it so far, Caleb? Because we have, if you go back and watch some of our streams from last year, you hear us gushing all over that quite a bit as we made our way through it.
It's like a weekly update. If you follow the stream from like July to probably about August, there's like a weekly update. So where are you with Scourge?
Yeah, that's it, isn't that?
It's a good one.
Yeah, it certainly was one we took our time to get through. We didn't rush it, but we really did enjoy it.
It's a slow burner, but you get such a reward as the story progresses, really, I think.
It just gets better and better so well early on, and that really does pay off later when shit starts to go down.
It just gets more claustrophobic because like everything's just going wrong at that point. You're like, how is Third Doctor and Sarah got to get out of this? Even though you know they survive, you're like, this is endgame. This is curtains for these characters.
It is nail biting right to the end. Caleb says, I love the audio novel format. It's something new for me. I love the story so far. It takes a while. Lol. Yeah, that is true. But it pays off. I mean, it was fairly new for us as well, wasn't it? Like before that, we'd only had some short trips.
Well, we had Terror of the Master, which was
Yeah.
sort of a prototype for the audio novels, which, again, very good audio novel if you have the limited edition masterful copy.
Yeah, and that's also read by John Coleshaw again. So
you're in safe hands if John Coleshaw's narrating it.
Yeah, he's a brilliant narrator. How are you finding Dan Starkey so far? The Emancipation of the Daleks.
He's very good. Like when I listen to like the little teaser for it, because they don't really do trailers for the audio novel. It's like a little 3-minute segment of a story, a little slice of it. I didn't quite click into it, but I think as I've listened to it, I'm like, I can hear Capaldi. He's got Bill down to a fine tee. Like you can just imagine Paul Mackey delivering that sort of stuff. And yeah, he's really good, really good. I'm enjoying Dan Starkey's performance.
Yeah. But it's easy to forget that he did work with them both as well. He worked with Capaldi. I don't know if he ever did with.
I don't think he did. I mean, no, I don't think he did any in Series 10.
Certainly not. Could be wrong. I'm not sure if maybe he popped up as another monster or something. But yeah, certainly he had worked with Capaldi. So
yeah, I did Deep Breath. And I think he's done a load of other 12th Doctor audio books for the BBC.
Yeah, I think is he going to be reading the Zygon Inversion/Invasion?
I don't know, because that's been pushed back now, that target, hasn't it?
Did they not announce a reader for that before they did push it back?
I have no idea.
What was it? There's definitely been another 12th Doctor. Was it Eaters of Light? Did he do that one?
No, it's somebody else doing that one, actually. So it probably is the Zygon 2-parter he's doing.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's certainly read for the 12th Doctor before, hasn't he? Somewhere or someone.
Yeah. But yeah, it's made me interested to get some more Dan Starkey audio readings.
Yeah. All right. Maybe an upcoming interlude you can have a crack at.
Be interesting. I thought no, he didn't do it. No, he did. The 5th Doctor Chameleon one, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he did.
He read that one.
He's already done one. Yeah.
Yeah, it just come to me actually.
Yeah, because I've only listened to the 6th Doctor one so far. Yeah, I'll have to get round to that and the 7th Doctor one at some point, because that's Sophie Aldred.
Yeah, that sounded quite good. The is it the brick house or something like that?
Yeah,
that's the title's called.
Haunting of Brick House, I think.
There we go.
Spelled BRYCK, isn't it?
Yeah.
For a bit of a twist. Necromantia says, if you like the audio novel Reigns, I recommend the Fury from the Deep, audio novelization. It's simply amazing. Is that Fraser reading that one?
I think it's got to be. Or maybe Deborah Watling, because it's her last story.
Yeah, because I imagine that would have been recorded a little while back. Caleb Smith says, I've listened to 40, The Annihilators, The Outlaws, Waterworlds, and the first story of Silver and Ice. I've been slowly making my way through the box sets this year.
Which one's your favourite out of those ones, Caleb? Be interested to know.
I mean, we certainly know which one both of ours is from that list.
Yeah. Oh, David Troughton reads it. Okay, that's nice.
There we go. So would you get both him and Michael have been reading these?
Yeah. So I think they did like a Wheel of Ice, which I think was Michael, I think.
Did that now one. We've got Michael doing the next audio novel, The Dead Star.
Which I'm excited to get that one, actually. I guess we can, because there's been a bit of a leak, hasn't there? Well, supposed leak.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just a bit of more fun speculation on our part. Like, people from Big Finish and even the Big Finish Twitter account has made a joke about it, saying that it's false, pretty much. So Yeah, I think don't take it with a huge heap of salt here. But yeah, we have had a supposed leak about what's happening with Big Finish in 2023 out on Gallifrey base, isn't it? Was it
Yeah,
Reddit?
that's how I think it was Reddit, and I found it on Gallifrey base, and I was like, "Hey, have you seen this?"
Yeah.
Some of it seems very fanciful, and others there's a little bit of I can believe that.
Yeah. You saw like one. They probably like start off like that when making these fake ones, so that they can reel you in a bit, don't they? You don't want to throw
Yeah,
the fanciful stuff out there straight away. You want to reel people in. And I think Big Finish has surprised us before, like with Eccleston. So you never know, but yeah, I certainly wouldn't take it as gospel.
I mean, is there anything in that list what takes your fancy?
I mean,
Where like I'd want that.
one of them was the Sarah Jane Smith box set, supposedly, and I could see Big Finish doing this anyway because on the podcast at one point they were asked about any plans to continue K9 and Company with Sadie Miller now that she's on board as Sarah, and they said no, but there might be something in that direction that might appease you. So the idea of this apparent box set is a story or a box set of presumably 3 episodes set after The Hand of Fear, where it's Sarah doing her usual investigating again, picking up her life after leaving the Doctor, her going back to UNIT and reuniting with the Brigadier and Harry. So
Which
I feel like that box set I would like, and it feels plausible as well.
yeah, because I think the way they've been going with Unit, they've been trying to flesh out Unit. We've got Bambera now, and I feel like you're kind of missing one of the obvious key players to Brig. So I feel like it's their way of getting around that by putting Brig and Harry in it.
Yeah. I mean, we have the Brig in pretty much a set every other month at this point now. Basically.
Which I'm not complaining because I love him.
That's true.
Yeah, we love John Coleshaw.
Yeah.
But the Ninth Doctor news interests me a lot because
Wow.
they're
Using quotation marks.
Yeah, whether it's true, but I like the idea of it because we praised this release last year, which is Dalek Universe, and they're on about giving the Ninth Doctor his own sort of Dalek Universe type series, not gonna have the Daleks in, but like a new original foe, and just having like a new series with Eccleston, like a proper series. That just excites me.
I think similar to Dalek Universe, apparently it's going to be like a tie-in episode in a Diary of River Song set, isn't there?
Supposedly.
Yeah. And so that would be Ninth Doctor finally meeting River Song,
But I think that the when it gets a bit more fanciful is the War Master, where I start to go, yeah, this is obviously a little bit fake.
Yeah.
Apparently, Ian McKellen and Sir Patrick Stewart are going to be in Big Finish, playing the Great Intelligence. No idea what Sir Patrick Stewart's meant to play, a future Doctor or something along those lines. I think it said on the leak.
I don't know if they even be allowed to do that, like within the licensing, because they're quite funny about that sort of thing, understandably.
Yeah, and then they say that the War Master range is going to stop after 10 box sets, which I can't see it because the way they record the War Master stuff is a bit like Tom Baker. They just keep on bulk recording
they lock him
it
in the studio and don't let him out until a certain quote are done.
Yeah, you've got to record 30 stories today, and then you're free.
I mean, speaking of Tom Baker, apparently series 14 is Fourth Doctor and Sarah, 15 is Fourth Doctor and Adric, and 16 is Fourth Doctor and Leela. Sad.
Just roll my eyes. Because like the Leela ones, I love Leela, but I just get a little bit of Leela fatigued.
I mean, we've got her again next year, haven't we, alongside
We've
Margaret.
got Margaret, so that'll be nice.
Yeah.
Be something different.
We know Shadow of the Sun was meant to be part of an upcoming series of Fourth Doctor adventures. So we know we're getting another, presumably Leela and K9 series at some point. But But I can believe they're that far ahead, if not further, with their recordings at this point with Tom, because certainly when you look at what we're getting now, when that was recorded, like 2018, I think was one of these even done in 17. One of
Probably, yeah,
series
because
11.
I think series 10 was all done in 2016, 17, so it makes sense for 11 would be around about the same time.
Yeah.
I think Blood of the Time Lords, because we saw the script, didn't we?
Yeah, through Annette Badland over on Twitter. Yep. So both Blood of the Time Lords and Ravencliff Witch were 2017.
Blimey, 5 years ago.
And yeah, the Dreams of Avarice and Shellshock were 2018, and finally peak season was 2020 because that was like a later edition. So yeah, when you look at that, you could definitely believe they are quite far ahead with Tom Baker, and you can also see that maybe these combinations would work out. I'm not so sure about Adric.
Yeah, that's a bit sketchy.
Yeah, certainly, maybe for like one box set, but I'm not sure about a whole 3 series, like a whole series of them, 3 box sets. But yeah, so it's like plausible stuff. But again, it's like stuff that we could come up with and speculate, and then write down on Reddit and post and say, "Oh, we've got a leak here." So
yeah, like we say, take it with a massive pinch of salt. Necromancer Patrick Stewart as a new incarnation of Unbound Doctor. Again, take it with a pinch of salt. A massive pinch at this case, a heap.
I mean, it gave the writers for the next First Doctor Adventures set with Stephen Noonan and Lauren Cornelius. I believe, let's just have a quick hunt for that.
Yeah, because I guess if those writers, is it Tim Foley? I think Tim Foley was on that list.
He may have been. Here we go. Yeah, Tim Foley, Una McCormack, and Sarah Grahala. So this is meant to be 3 2-part stories, so 1 per disc. With First Doctor and Dodo again. So, and that's meant to be January. So if that pans out and it is that selection of writers, that's when we come back to this leak and it gets a bit more interesting. If they come out with something completely different, then we can gladly write off the leak entirely.
Now that does somewhat line up with what Stephen Noonan's been saying, because the Miniaturist was his favourite out of the 2. And he said that they wanted to go more of an experimental nature, like the 2-parter. So I think that there's a lot of weight for that one, from what Stephen's been saying to people in like feedback.
Yeah.
So but again, I can believe that.
Is that just this person hearing Stephen saying that and then
thinking,
I'll use that from there to add to this leak?
But I just have to see. But it's still exciting. Like the 60th anniversary release, all the Doctors are going to be involved in some capacity. Even Jodie.
Yeah, perhaps for a cameo.
Again, this is all speculation from that Reddit leak. Again, pinch of salt.
Yeah. I mean, this time, 6 months ago, I think even more than that, we had the speculation of David Tennant coming back through leaks to a TV show, and we were all like, "Oh, maybe," but I don't know. So you never know with leaks. But then again, you always remember the times where they were right. You always forget about the probably many, many more times that these rumors end up being complete bullshit, really. Like, remember back in the day of the Omni rumor and all the missing episodes supposedly being found.
That still hurts.
Yeah. But then you got ones where there's a grain of truth in there, because Web of Fear and Enemy of the World were ones that were floating around.
And Marco Polo as well. That was another one part of that. But again, we still don't know about Marco Polo.
And that's a sad one where it was distributed so much, wasn't it? It's like the one that probably had the most copies out there.
Yeah.
So it just makes it all the more a shame that it seemingly hasn't been found.
Because that's the one you think, surely that's got to be out there. unless they're saving it for next year. I don't know.
Hmm.
It'd be perfect time next year.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, that'll be 10 years since we last had an announcement as well. I don't know, what's the longest that there's been between a missing episode returning?
I think it's got to be from now. Actually, I think from 2013 to now. I think that's the longest thing, longest gap
Yeah, I think
since an
so.
episode's been recovered. But again, there are episodes out there in private collectors,
Yeah.
and they probably don't realize what gold mine they're sitting on, or there's some weird sort of headspace where they're like, "No, this is mine. This is my thing. Get your own."
I mean, like, you sort of have that with other Doctor Who fans where they complain about these limited edition things being redistributed again and remade when they're like, well, no, I've got this. I got it while it was limited edition. No one else should be able to get it
Enjoy
now.
it.
Yeah, when it's like, if the value of the thing is its scarcity and not what it actually is, then you got to take a bit more of a look at whether or not it's really worth it.
It's just a weird mentality.
Yeah. And I think some are also a bit worried about repercussions from the BBC for having it. So,
but surely, if you give it them and you still get your copy back, it's a win-win. You're not going to be in trouble because they'll have a copy back in their archive. You'll make many Doctor Who fans happy, but you still get to have the genuine print.
You also get to watch it in better quality because they'll restore it.
Exactly. So really, they're the losers.
Yeah, it's just everyone loses really. But we could discuss missing episodes and all the intrigue around that for hours, couldn't we?
I mean, continuing missing episode, we've had. I mean, this is a bit of a tangent stream at the minute, but we will get on to news and Fourth Doctor. But Bubble Snowman, I've thought since we're talking about missing episodes, we've got a bit of news on that.
Some screenshots have come out, haven't they? And it's been confirmed that there'll be a BFI screening on the 3rd of September. So presumably the DVD and Blu-rays will come out
Like a week
mid
after,
to
I'd
late
say.
September. Yeah. But then again, season 22, that was about 3 months after the BFI screening. So you can't be too sure, but I'm assuming that was more of a fluke due to everything with Ukraine and also Brexit and COVID. It sort of affected it all, didn't it?
I feel like with the animations, they don't delay them or push them back, really. So I just have to see when it arrives. I mean, it's a long time coming because it was Doctor Who Day it got announced, so it's nearly a year.
Yeah, it'll be coming up on that by the time it's out, hopefully.
But then it'll be like a bittersweet one because it's the last one, isn't it? For now, unless Disney get their hands on it, like, hey, let's animate these episodes for you.
Yeah, because like Starless Person says, thoughts on the Disney Plus Doctor Who streaming news. Yeah, so it is just like discussions at the moment, isn't it? That have been rumored. There's no concrete signature put to paper yet on this deal. But yeah, apparently Doctor Who could be heading to Disney Plus, and it's nothing new. It's not like Disney are buying the rights to Doctor Who or anything. Like, it's been to Netflix before. It's been on HBO Max and such. Doctor Who's been around pretty much.
Yeah,
I think some people have been yelling doom and gloom about physical media releases, but that's still pretty safe. This is just the streaming rights to put this onto Disney Plus, really. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I've no strong or negative feeling of like it's just a good way to put it out there, I guess. And I guess it fits with what Russell was saying that Doctor Who needs like a Disney Plus streaming service or something like that. So I feel like it lines up with what Russell said in the past.
It feels like the best place to get some visibility to it.
I think people have been speculating that it says a new series. So could it be like, because there was rumor of like a little Matt Smith mini series, wasn't there? alongside the Tennant rumour that Tennant and Smith would be leading the 60th year. So maybe the Matt Smith, this is all, again, speculative thing. Maybe the Matt Smith little series is going to be like a Disney Plus exclusive for a little bit, then get its BBC debut. I don't know.
Nah, it won't be. It's definitely going to be BBC gets everything first. Like, it's the same with all other deals these BBC makes with these different companies. I mean, I think, what was that? Around the World in 80 Days. That was done with. Was it HBO they did that with?
I think, yeah, it was done with like a French company, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a big old thing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's a French company as well. But I suppose there was also some American streamer or something that had the rights to it as well. I think it was HBO.
Yeah, I think it probably was.
But yeah, it was still like fairly simultaneous release.
I think it was on BBC America as well. So yeah, it went all over the place, and it's got a second series, so it's going to be like 160 days.
There we go.
But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that series.
Yeah, I'd imagine we won't see that for a little while yet, but that'd be good to have that back. I mean, it was sort of like our little we can pretend this is the Doctor almost. He's got his companions, but now we don't have to pretend because
he's back.
Yeah.
That's still not sunk in, and like I've seen videos of like Ncuti Gatwa saying, I'm off to film Doctor Who, like, oh, he's the Doctor, isn't it? That's incredible. Like you sort of forget, because you're like, oh, Tennant's at the forefront of your mind, and then you're like, oh yeah, Ncuti Gatwa, he's the Doctor as well. This is what a exciting time this is.
Yeah. Caleb says Around the World in 80 Days in the US came on PBS. Thank you for that, Caleb. Okay. There we go. But yeah, I mean, it's the same sort of deal that's always been going on with different streaming services now. I think just because people see Disney, they suddenly start spelling doom and gloom about it all. But I mean, Doctor Who was even shown on Disney XD over there at one point.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, in the Tennant era, wasn't it?
Yeah, literally just the Tennant era.
So yeah, it was. Yeah,
that must have been weird. People, I'm not sure whether they jumped on with Christmas Invasion or New Earth. I think it might be New Earth. They kicked
probably would have been New Earth. Yeah.
Still, that must have been a bit weird because you're missing half of Rose's story.
I guess that kickstarts the whole like Skip 9 thing. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe that started that whole generation of fans.
I think that was quite fairly late on though.
I don't know.
I think that they started showing that. I think the Don't Skip 9 thing's been going on for a while, sadly.
Which is a shame.
I'm pretty sure I've seen way more people saying, oh no, don't skip 9, don't listen to these people, than I've actually seen anyone say to skip 9. It just seems to be more like one of those ghost things that gets blown out of hand. It's like maybe one person said it and loads of people have jumped on it and it just snowballed from there.
It seems like a very Tumblr thing. Is Tumblr still a thing? I don't know.
Nah, that died. That's dead.
Kill the Moon's aged terribly even more now.
God. Wasn't there a line from bloody Bells of St. John where Clara's just like, isn't that just Twitter?
Moffat had a vendetta against Twitter. Yeah, but Twitter's still standing.
Yeah. I mean, so's Moffat.
Yeah. I mean, he's supposedly coming to write, pen an episode with Ncuti.
Yeah.
Again, pinch of salt.
I mean, he said he was done with Doctor Who, but Russell also said he was done with Doctor Who and came back, so you never know.
You never know. Kill the Moon was a train wreck. Yeah, it was something. It was something.
Well, Silas Person asked, thoughts on Sega Nakanola? Yes, because we also got confirmation that the Centenary will be his last outing with the show, which I think we sort of perhaps assumed anyway, because it seems very much like everyone working on the Whittaker era is wrapping up and moving on from the show now as things shift over to Bad Wolf. Whereas with the Russell to Moffat handover, even though a lot of people did go, quite a few still stayed. That was still like done within the BBC's in-house department. Yeah. And then after that, with the start of the Whittaker era, that's where things shifted to BBC Studios. So that was one of the reasons why a lot of things got refreshed there. But yeah, I suppose people have been talking less about Akinola leaving and more about whether Murray Gold will be coming back. What do you think?
I wouldn't mind if Murray come back, because again, if you look at some of the work he's been doing recently, I think he's more than a one-trick pony. I just think maybe when you got to series 10, it was very much a bit of a few new tracks and recycled material. Because if you look at the 50th anniversary, that soundtrack has completely new tracks to what we're seeing in the heard in the episode. Less said about his song for 50, which I don't think it's in the light of day since the proms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was a weird experience hearing that. But in terms of Sega Akinola, I've got no real strong opinion on it, to be honest. Because I'm not. It's going to sound bad, but I don't really listen to the soundtracks, so I don't have
sometimes, but
I don't really have a big attachment to it, really.
Yeah. Well, I think nothing's really jumped out at me in the show as good or bad either way, which is sometimes what you want music to be. It is just there to enhance what's going on. It's not there to overshadow it. But yeah, I don't know. Nothing really sticks in my head when it comes to Sega Akinola's.
They're very different composers. Murray was quite bombastic in a way.
Yeah, bombastic is definitely
the word. And then I think Sagan's more for the atmosphere type stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Sagan's music's quite understated. You've really got to listen out to hear it. But it's there. But I think he's done some good work. I like the cyber theme and the Dalek theme. That was all good. I enjoyed those little renditions.
Yeah. I feel like with everyone seemingly from the Russell era coming back for the 60th stuff, for the Tennant and Tate specials, it seems, it feels like it would only be right to have Murray go back for that, especially with him having composed their original tracks. He can take those, do a slight twist on it, and then it can very much be the musical character of the era. But after that, I think it would be good for a new composer to come in. Even though Murray Gold definitely can mix it up and can show that he could go for different things, it just feels like someone else deserves a chance after Murray's done it for, 13 years maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It must have been around.
Yeah, 12 or 13, going from Rose all the way to Twice Upon a Time. So I think having him back for the 3 specials would be fine, and then let someone else take over for Shooty's era and let them give it its own musical identity.
I agree with that. I agree.
Necromancer says, I think Charlton's era tends to be better for the soundtrack. So many scenes where they're walking in silence with ominous music, particularly Web of Fear. Yeah, it's interesting when you look at the 60s, because a lot of that was stock footage, wasn't it?
Or it was recycled, because the Cyberman theme appears in the War Machines as well, I think. I want to say.
Yeah, even Edge of Destruction as well.
Wow, sure. That early back.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Like that sort of music. That's definitely in Edge of Destruction. I think while Susan's being a bit funny with her scissors.
I mean, that's one way of putting it. Oh, damn.
Yeah. Certainly. A lot of stock footage. I think it's more, you get into the 70s and Dudley Simpson sort of becomes the in-house composer, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And that's when Doctor Who starts to get more of its own original musical identity. But because Doctor Who's outlived all these other shows that were using that stock music at the time, no one really, they've just become Doctor Who music, haven't they?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It's like how I think it's Mars from Gustav's The Planets. It's like this orchestral music. It's always instantly recognised as just a Quatermass theme by us cult fans.
Okay.
Even though it's certainly got a lot more history to it than that,
Mm.
which I'm probably showing that I have no knowledge of. But there we go.
It's all fair enough. The team theme also appears in the military fight, but in Covent Garden. Yeah, that's a bit of reuse where you're like, oh, but that's wrong. Caleb Smith, thoughts on Waterworlds? It was okay.
Nothing great. So, I mean, the first story, The Rotting Deep, I quite like. After that, it just feels like a pretty straightforward set, really.
You do get a little bit fatigued of like Waterworlds.
Yeah.
Like the setting of it.
Yeah, definitely.
But what would you say is your least favourite like relaunch set of the year so far?
I mean, I think we discussed this a couple of weeks back as well, didn't we, when we did our top 5? So I'm trying to remember what I said then so I can be consistent, but opinions change. I mean, Waterworlds might be up there.
It's either that or for like 40 in a way. But then I really like the first 2 episodes of Secrets of Telos.
Yeah, I think 40's got more going for it. And it's also got the fact that 42 can come along and save it a bit. Speaking of, we got a trailer for that.
Yeah, let's do a bit of Big Finish news because I feel like we've had a nice bit of waffle about the news. So I guess let's do a bit of Big Finish news and get started on like the 4th Doctor as well. But hey, I'm all here for the rambling.
Yeah, it's always good getting a good discussion going between us in the chat. So yeah, that 42 trailer, what did you make of it?
I really liked it. I have to say, the recent Big Finish trailers are really good.
Yeah, there's been quite a few good ones recently, like the Benny one.
Yeah, that's a standout.
Yeah, I think the Unit Brave New World one's pretty decent as well.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
They're all pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we get the Master's laugh at the end there. John Coleshaw tripling it up.
It is a fair bit of Coleshaw, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he's 3 characters on this cover.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't quite get to hear the his Ainley Master voice in the trailer, sadly.
No, it's just like the little chuckle at the end.
Yeah. But I mean, we have heard it in full cast form already, thanks to Masterful, though. Even though he's not, well, he's not quite there in it, but he does have a presence through that.
It sounded quite 70s as well, which I quite liked.
Yeah, it's the same 70s gun sound, isn't it?
Which I appreciate. All that sort of stuff
on the cover.
It's just nice to have like a spearhead auto on the cover. Just it does stuff to me.
Yeah. There's something quite magical about hearing the 5th Doctor go Brigadier, and just the joy in Peter's voice. It's funny you think he has worked with John Coleshaw quite a bit because they did the Chameleon trilogy.
And well, I think the earliest they must have worked together was Kingmaker because you've got John Coleshaw as Tom Baker, 4th Doctor in that, which is nice.
Yeah, he's very much part of the Big Finish furniture at this point.
He is, and he's a good piece of furniture.
Yeah, he's a good one to have around.
Yeah,
he's a very, very flexible voice, as that trailer proved.
But I am excited for this one. I think when 40 was announced, this was one I was like, I really want to hear. So it'd be good to finally hear it. And it's not that long away, really, realistically.
No, it's scary how fast he is going, but yeah. I mean, a 6-parter with the 5th Doctor and Autons, that's what really piqued our interest when we first had this announcement, because 6-parters were a rarity for Big Finish and still are, really. We're getting a few more of them now in the box set era with Kaleidoscope, which Caleb Smith has mentioned he is really excited for, which we both are very much as well.
Oh, yes.
And so, having a 6-parter for the 5th Doctor, it feels right. and hopefully it can tie up the arc that's been going on in 40 nicely.
Yeah, that's an exciting one.
And I mean, Tim Foley hasn't let us down yet.
No, he wrote one of your favourites last year, the golf. So we just have to see. But other news, we've got, again, not really that much news in the grand scheme of things. It's been quite a quiet week.
Yeah, it has been. I mean, we had Stargate coming back, not like as a they're not doing new ones. It's just the old ones they made a long time ago are being put into collections because I think like due to rights and stuff they had to take them off the website. But now they've worked it out, they can put them back up. So if you were into Stargate, and I think it's also if you had it, if you did buy the old ones, those ones are back in your account now.
Yeah, I think they're being reinstated. I think that's what they said.
Yeah. Also, Blake 7, if anyone's particularly
if you're interested.
2 new Worlds of Blake 7 sets announced, which sort of, they feel like quite similar to the last couple that we've had now. I feel like they're doing more anthology ones by the looks of it, rather than those early ones like the Colin Baker as the Butcher, Baben the Butcher, and like the Clone Masters ones. That felt more like an ongoing thing, whereas this just feels like they're picking a theme and then using the same group of characters with Callie and I think, is it Janet?
I have no idea. I've never seen Blake 7.
I've watched some of it. But Jenny, there we go. Jenny and Callie. Yeah. And what's his name? Travis as well there. The one in the middle with the eye patch. Yeah, so, I mean, if anyone is into Blake 7, you got 2 more box sets there at the end of the year. But I think it does feel like the covers have taken a bit of a dip, though. Like when you compare them to last year's covers.
Unless that's a placeholder, probably not.
No, I don't think so. Because it's the same style as the one we got the other month.
Okay.
Heroes and Villains, that was called. But I suppose the biggest piece of news this week,
Angie Mahindra returns as Varani.
Yeah.
I guess we saw this coming with the 8th of March release with Rani and Joe Jones.
Yeah, the writing's been on the wall for a little while now. I think that's what you say when something bad's going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully this
sounds. So it's Rani takes on the world beyond Bannerman Road. So 2 box sets. I think the first one's out in April, and then the other one I think is, when is it? November. December.
Is it November? Yeah, December or November. Towards the end of the year.
Yeah, December. There we go.
I mean, one of the most exciting things for me, Clyde's back for 2 of the 3 stories.
Is it the first and last one? Is it?
Yeah, and then you've got Rani's mum, Geeta, in the middle story. Who I think, is it Mina Anwar? Is that how?
Yeah, she's done a fair bit for Big Finish.
Yeah, she's sort of like almost a regular for them at this point, isn't she?
Yeah, because I think she was in Ghost, and I think she was in The Echoes of Extinction as well, the Time of Victorious Vinyl.
Yeah, I think she might have done First Doctor Adventures Volume 3 in the, I think it's TikTok World.
Okay.
Yeah. She's in 14 releases overall. Oh, she was in The Lone Centurion, Ghosts, Rage of the Time Lords, Tortured Among Us, 7th Doctor. Oh, she was in Third Doctor Adventures Volume 4 as well.
Oh, yeah, she was in Rise of the Humans, yeah.
Yeah. There's another actress as well they've got who sounds quite similar to her. You know, in Diary of a Song Series 10, there's like that. You're not sure if you did episode 3, actually. There's like that weird super fan of River and Liz.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
It's like, it's an actress who sort of has a similar quality of voice to her.
Okay.
Yeah. So that always sort of like, it catches me out when I'm listening to her and thinking, Rani's mum's in this one. And I check the credits, like, oh no, it's a different actress.
Yeah. But the writers, good solid, like Joe Litster did a lot for Sarah Jane, like Nightmare Man. So that's a real good person to bring back on board. James Goss is always a lot of fun, and Lizzie Hopley, good writer as well.
Well, Cameron J. Smith has just asked, have I missed a discussion of the new Fourth Doctor set? No, we're not onto those just yet. We've been going around about a bit with different topics. We're just onto the news now, discussing Rani, as you can see on the screen share there.
Once the news is out of the way, we'll get onto that. We'll go onto some Fourth Doctor goodness.
Yeah, I think that's the next thing up, really, isn't it? 'Cause it's the last news article.
Yeah. I mean, are you going to pick it up?
I might do. I was a big Sarah Jane Adventures fan. And I did rewatch the whole series fairly recently as well. But I don't know. It just never really... I didn't get excited as a lot of other people seem to about this news. For me, this almost feels like it's robbing a potential TV show in a way. Although, obviously, Russell doesn't quite have plans for that because he's signed off on this. He was even there for the one of the recordings, wasn't he, with Scott Hancock?
Yeah.
But it does feel like when you look at a lot of TV shows, some TV shows at the moment, like there's that what's it, Tracy Beaker Returns thing, isn't there?
Yeah.
Is it called The Dumping Ground? Is that what the show is called?
Is it Beyond Dumping Ground? I have no idea.
Tracy takes on the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got that the That's
Beyond.
So Raven spin-off / sequel where it's like all grown up or something. So you think there is certainly a market for these shows where it's like picking up on these younger characters going into their like adulthoods, seeing how they've been. And I think Sarah Jane Adventures was popular enough to warrant that. Like that got the highest figures on CBBC, didn't it? Or close to it.
Yeah, it's strange because like you see it on like Facebook groups and it's like coming home from school and like these programs would be on, like Sarah Jane would be on, like, and you get people sharing it who aren't Doctor Who fans, and that you're like, wow, people only saw Sarah Jane Adventures, they didn't see Doctor Who, but that was their slice of Who goodness. It mental, really.
Yeah, and so you think you can get this probably could work on TV, like timed around to start with the new series. But yeah, I mean, like I said, you could say that for most Big Finish spin-offs. You'd be like, oh, I would prefer this as a TV spin if it feels like the basic thing to say when a piece of news comes around. It's like what people used to say when you had Tennant announced doing Big Finish. But I feel like this is something that has proper potential to work on TV.
Yeah,
whereas something like Tennant coming back, I mean, Big Finish, him doing Big Finish doesn't cancel out that happening anyway. And also it's sort of like the moving on from it, isn't it, when it comes to the Doctors? It's like where they go to play with their character again after saying goodbye to them on TV. Yes. But I mean, hopefully this can still be very much in that vein with this box set. So yeah, I think I'll just see how it goes around the time and see what the cover's like, what the story details, trailer and such, and take it from there, really. How about you?
I probably will cave and get it just to see. It's that sort of curious thing, you know, because it's that nugget of your childhood, just to see what they do. I want to see what tonally it will be like, whether it will replicate that CBBC tone.
Yeah. So
I feel like Paternoster Gang's got quite a kiddie feel to it. From the ones I've listened to, I feel like it feels a bit, you know, CBBC, which is not a disrespect to it at all.
No, certainly they went to some dark places there with the Sarah Jane Adventures, sometimes darker than the TV show would go. Stylish Person says, fun fact, the top 10 most viewed episodes out of everything aired on CBBC is all Sarah Jane Adventures episodes or Tracy Beaker Returns episodes, and both have child and adult viewers. Yeah, I think that's the way to go, isn't it, really, with children's TV? You make it something that adults will like as well. And then also it's something that children will have fond memories of and then look back on and return to maybe one day. when they're older. Yeah, Caleb Smith says the only problem with being a Big Finish fan is it takes a lot of money out of your wallet. Yeah, that's very true.
Can agree
and
with
that's
that.
the thing of that's the thing when a box set like this is announced that I'm not 100% wowed by. It's like, am I interested enough to actually spend 17, 20, maybe more quid on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just have to see. I guess it's time to get on to the main event, which
Yeah,
is,
here we
of
go.
course, some Fourth Doctor goodness. Load up the banner.
5 stories across 2 box sets here.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting one, actually. Because I feel like me and you are pretty much on the same page with all of these stories.
Yeah, I imagine so. I think close enough to it anyway. Yeah, so this is officially part of the relaunch, but because of how far in advance it was recorded, it doesn't quite fit in with that same brand image, I suppose. Like they've retroactively given these box sets their own titles, calling it Solo, and then the second one is called The Nine. But despite that, The Nine's only in the first story of the set, and these certainly are a bit more chunky than anything else in the relaunch, with the Mila being 4 or even 5 discs worth. And they've still got their individual cover art as well, luckily for us.
Which is a joy. So before we dive into the review, I guess it's do a little quick recap of the tier list. This is your baby, Luke. So do you want to take it away?
Yeah, we did this all the way back in October, didn't we? And you can certainly see it's mostly a top-heavy one, isn't it? Like our thoughts on the Fourth Adventures as a whole are pretty good, but very few things really cracked that top spot. At the top there, we have Jelly Baby Worthy, our prestigious little tier there for only the best of the best. So we'll see if anything more gets to join that today. After that, we have Pineapple Chunk Worthy, Humbug Worthy. In the middle, a simple rewrite would have been sufficient. Next to that, we have Well, I'm Not Human and I've Heard Better. Towards the bottom, we've got Are You Listening to Me? These were all Fourth Doctor quotes or misquotes at this point. And finally, of course, everyone's going to recognize this one. Insert writer here is an imbecile. However, because of the way the tier list works, it didn't quite include the insert writer here bit because I put in like little brackets and then that deleted it. So yeah, but just imagine it says insert writer here there.
So I guess
I'm looking back at this one, seeing where we put it all.
I feel like it's fairly balanced though, really. I don't think it's too.
I feel like looking back, if we were to do this again, it probably would turn out pretty similar, if not the same.
I don't think it's our opinions have changed that much, really, on some of these adventures.
No, I mean, I don't know if I've actually re-listened to any of them since.
I revisited Series 8 a couple months back.
I did. What about Sinestro and Curl? Is that still worthy of that spot?
I'd say so.
Yeah. But it's hard to tell sometimes because something might have been like one of us wanted it higher or lower.
Yeah.
So we compromised. So
I feel like that was a compromising one. Because I think you probably liked it more than me.
Oh, it's Sinestro and Curl.
Yeah.
I thought it would be the other way around. I wasn't a big fan of that. That's certainly my least favourite of Series 8. But yeah, I think that feels like the right spot for that one. So I guess Casualties of Time, I'm happy that's at the bottom there.
Yeah. I mean, Suburban Hell, I'm very happy that's there. But I guess it's time to add some more stories to this list.
Yeah, let's see where Blood of the Time Lords is going to go. This is like the opener. This is very much a sequel to The Deadly Assassin. Even picks up right where that left off with the Doctor who's just left Gallifrey, but he's been thinking about old relics and stuff, what powers they could have, and he realizes he's got a book inside the TARDIS that maybe he should return to Gallifrey or to its moon, where there's this massive near Infinite Library on what's the moon actually called?
I can't remember, but it's like this
Yeah,
repository, isn't it?
yeah,
It's like it's a nice little twist on the Matrix. It's like a repository of all Time Lord knowledge.
yeah, it's very much playing about with a lot of those same ideas. The recursory, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be
Monastery-like
honest.
retreat on the moon of Gallifrey.
This story is very much beat for beat Deadly Assassin.
Yeah, it has a lot of that in there, and that's made even weirder by the fact that it is set directly after. I think the Doctor even comments on it, doesn't he? He's like, "I've just been through all this before, back down on
Gallifrey.
Gallifrey. Sorry."
I like the thing. What I like about this story is it sort of plays with sort of the Planet of Spiders themes. I quite like that. I enjoy.
It's
that
a nice
aspect of it.
expansion of Gallifrey lore, isn't it? With
Yes,
what happens to Time Lords who are nearing the end of their lives.
I think that's a nice, neat idea within it. I think for me, this story works for the first 3 episodes, and then it sort of goes downhill in part 4 for me.
Yeah, part 4 is definitely where it lost me. I think I was really loving it in the first episode in particular. I think is off to a great start. That does get all those Hinchcliffe vibes straight from the offset. But yeah, and then after a while, you sort of realize how much like the Deadly Assassin is. It almost becomes a bit of a distraction there.
Yeah, I really like the acolytes with these wooden masks. There's something quite creepy about them. I think they work very well.
Yeah, quite effective as a not a villain as such, but a menacing threat within the story.
But I think one thing what's quite strong about Solo, well, this series in particular, is sort of the companion of the weeks within these stories. I think they're all wonderful, with the exception of Margaret, because we know Margaret's going to continue. I think they're all wonderful supporting guest companions.
I mean, the guest one in this one is played by Emma Nooks, who goes on to play a different Time Lord, Raven, in Second
War
Adventures.
Games.
Yeah. Although this would be recorded about 5 years after that. Yeah, it's just funny seeing how that's worked out.
Just trying to find there. Yeah, it's Eleonora. Yeah, she's a good character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed sort of the creature within it, like a weird bat creature, sort of quite Lovecraftian in a way. That fits quite Hinchcliffe-y.
There's also that almost hidden nature of it. Like, have you ever heard of like the Nether Rooms or something?
Yes, yeah.
Like this idea of this world where it's just these weird corridors, and it's like you get lost in them and you're trapped there. It's like a creepypasta type thing out on the internet, and you just see pictures of these rooms, like luminal images, I think they're called, where they're images that don't quite feel right for some reason. It's like these big empty spaces where things feel a bit off. But yeah, there's like that sort of vibe with this place beyond the bookshelves where that creature's hidden.
I quite like the image of just like Tom just climbing the library walls. I just think that's just quite a strong visual idea.
Yeah, and then there's sort of like that moment where the gravity flips, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's weirdness like that that's quite good. You've got that idea that, a fire gets started, and because the library's infinite, you could just have an infinite fire blazing across eternity. I think it's when it gets like it maybe has one too many villains. Like you have
Annette Badland in it.
Yeah, she's not too bad. I'm thinking of that other one who comes along towards the end.
Is it like the guard
person?
Yeah, he teams up with the Master.
Yeah.
I feel it's wrong to say. I feel like this is James Dreyfus's probably best story. But even then, I
recorded as well.
I didn't really rate him that much. I don't rate his Master at all.
No, I certainly don't rate him as a human being.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So I always feel a bit iffy with like the Dreyfus stories, because that's always that elephant in the room, what you can't avoid.
Yeah, that's true. And you can't really wholeheartedly recommend a story with him in. And certainly there are some people who refuse to even touch a story that he's in, and all power to them.
Yeah,
They
that's
don't want
right.
to go near that. And luckily for this set, because they are available as download only, you can still get and enjoy Ravencliff Witch on its own without having to go near a Dreyfus story. Luckily, the way Big Finish works, he's been paid his money.
Yeah,
He doesn't get any commission or anything from anyone else buying these sets, and they have very much committed to not recording any more with him. So it's not like, no matter how well Blood of a Time Lord sells, they're not gonna come back to him. And even if they did, based on what he's said since then, I don't think he'd even want to. But yeah, but nevertheless, I think it's understandable if anyone does just want to avoid this story based on that alone. So I would, yeah.
It's such a shame, because I enjoy this one, but like I say, part 4 it becomes a bit messy and techno babbly.
I think it's that thing of you were enjoying it so much early on that when it turns to shit a bit, it stings that little bit more.
Yeah.
Cameron J. Smith says, with Series 11 of the Fourth Doctor Ventures, I was so worried about it going for a more nostalgic approach due to how badly the debut series turned out. But after listening to both Solo and the 9, there was only a single story I didn't like because it felt like a cheap version of the Seventh Doctor's No Man's Land, Shellshock. Ooh, wow. Well, we'll see how our opinions are on that when we get to it. But Cameron J. Smith says that Blood of the Time Lords was probably my favourite one of this year's Fourth Doctor run. Shame that one actor was... Well, we all know the controversy. Yeah, we just had a bit of a chat about that, didn't we? It was just a sheer comfort audio, and the recursive reader library was such a good idea. Yeah, I definitely felt those comfort vibes early on when you really do get Series 14 nostalgia from it in like the first 2 and a bit parts.
I think arguably on paper this is the most Hinchcliffe story.
Maybe. I think certainly there's 3 stories that feel quite Hinchcliffe in this. I'd say Peak Season and the Dreams of Avarice are the 2 that aren't quite. They're more Graham Williams. Certainly, Dreams of Avarice is much more Graham Williams.
I think for Blood of a Time Lord, if you like The Deadly Assassin, I mean, who doesn't? Then you'll get a kick out of Blood of a Time Lords.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to describe it. If you like Deadly Assassins, check it out.
Yeah, I'd probably... Maybe Humbug.
Yeah, I was thinking Humbug.
Yeah.
It's a good one. I mean, this one needs no introduction, and I feel like you need to take this one away because this is your one.
Yeah, this is certainly my favourite of the year. And so I'm very happy that Margaret is coming back again next year alongside Tom Baker. And you could certainly see why, when, like we've said, these one-off companions throughout these are all pretty great and all nice highlights. But there's something about Margaret that particularly works because it's just nice having the Fourth Doctor with like this old woman. Like he had
It's
quite a
very
few guests
Colin
like that.
Evelyn.
Yeah, and he had who was it in Stones of Blood? Is it Rutherford or something?
Yeah, Professor Rutherford, and then I quite enjoyed in Cloisters of Terror, Dame Elizabeth Shaw, I think.
Yeah, Liz.
Or
Oh
something
no, it's not
like
Liz.
no,
That's...
no, it wouldn't be. I'm trying to think. It's Dame Emily Shaw.
Emily. Yeah, it's like you get your E's confused, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, when you're thinking Shaw, you'll automatically go for Elizabeth.
Liz.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like that pairing. So I think we've always wanted Tom with an old, and even in is it Night of the Vashnarada? I think he's with an older woman within that, and that was our sort of I don't want to say proto solo, but that was our first Bachelor on the Loose.
Yeah, that's it.
Fourth Doctor.
On the Loose.
You know.
Yeah, and now we get a whole series of it really, and it's going to be weird going back to Tom with companions again after this now.
I think that's what made this series quite refreshing because I just enjoyed this Bachelor on the Loose, really.
Yeah. I think Tom works quite well on his own. At the start of this story, it's very nice where he's just having a conversation with himself, but
And he's
it
the only
doesn't feel
Doctor
forced.
that can get away with that, I feel.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, maybe Capaldi.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I mean, certainly there's times where he's like talking to the camera. Like you've got that whole bootstrap paradox section where he's actually talking to the audience about it.
Well, heaven sent,
But
you've
he
got a
pulls it
little
off.
look at the camera, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just him, heaven sent, isn't it? Really. And so yeah, the opening of this, he's just like having a chat with himself, and he's saying like, some people say, "Doctor, why do you talk to yourself?" Well, I say, "Doctor, it's because I'm the most interesting person." Or something. It's not quite
Yeah.
that, but it's. Well, it's like I could be guaranteed an interesting conversation, isn't it?
I think he's guaranteeing an intelligent conversation, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Tom Baker's wonderful in those moments.
Speaking dog, talking to the dog, I loved.
Yeah, that was where it's like Buster after Keaton, and you have the dog's owner being a bit confused. Like, I didn't even tell you his name. How did you...
But it just feels. I think that this story is a nice blend of like gothic horror meets sci-fi. It's a nice mishmash of those two.
Yeah, you've got a spooky witch appearing before people dies, and then you've got this mystery at a power station.
Yeah,
So
it's
instantly
haunting.
that sort of gives you a bit of Hand of Fear vibes of the power station. And so the way the mystery plays out, it's very Nigel Neal, very Stone Tape. In fact, I think there's even a Stone Tape like mention of the Stone Tape theory. The idea that these things can be traumatic events, get trapped in the inner workings of it. Does get a bit technobabbly towards the end. Again, part 4 is where it falls apart slightly, but for me, it's nowhere near as bad as Blood with Time Lords goes towards its end. And it still works very well for me. Some great characters in this, some great horror moments. Like you have the all the animals attacking Margaret's
like
house.
the crows, yeah.
There's something wonderful about the vibes of it being set by the sea as well. Them going out to sea and just
it's that isolation, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's kind of got
desolate, isn't it? It's that desolate beauty, isn't it?
Yeah, because it sort of has that classic horror trope and that sort of little isolation, sort of little village. It's kind of got sort of that quintessential Damon's feel in a way. Like here's a little quintessential seaside village town with this haunted power station. Really,
yeah. It's not the most popular. It's out of season, and so yeah, it does feel very 70s in that respect. Like you can imagine the big glasses and the suits with the workers at the power station and such. And yeah, some very spooky soundscapes throughout it.
The witch. I thought the witch's scream would be a bit more horrifying, but like when she's like whispering, that's when it's quite chilling.
Yeah, and like the image press or like floating towards people.
I like that sort of folk. It's not like realistic folklore, I think, but I like it when there's sort of an element of a village.
There's a sci-fi explanation for a bit of folklore.
I like that sort of stuff. That's when I really vibe with those type of stories.
Oh, I loved Margaret and Silas looking into the past, like going through her library, finding out about the witch. And it's nice where you piece things together along with the characters and you're able to work out maybe what's going on there. There's something wonderful about those investigation moments. And Silas himself is a wonderful character in this as well. Like I think Margaret isn't the only standout character within this story. There are quite a few other good ones too. So yeah, I mean, I love this one. It is so much fun to just stick on and listen to. So authentic to the era.
The music is very Dudley. Very Dudley.
Yeah, very much so. You can easily imagine them making something like this back in season 14. So yeah, for me, it is a Jelly Baby worthy. It's top tier. Tom Baker goodness. How about you?
I'll have to agree because it is. It's one that you just have a lot of fun listening to. It's a perfect like nighttime. Don't worry, I'm putting it on top 10.
Yeah, you got to scroll a bit.
Scroll up.
It's a chunky list. This one. We've got
Uh,
11 series worth now on there.
Yeah, which is mental. But I think this is like a perfect nighttime listen. It's one I definitely want to revisit sort of come winter.
Yeah, definitely suit like November, December vibes. Definitely.
And Margaret's just a character you fall in love with instantly. Like the sculptures being related to like the Braxitel collection, like it feels very in universe, really, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I look forward to them exploring her much more as they go forward.
I guess since we've finished that box set, should we just have a little look in the chat, see what people are saying?
Yeah, so that's the end of solo.
Overall, what would you give that set?
Probably an 8.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with an 8.
Yeah. Well, yeah, what are people saying here?
The way I like listening to Big Finish, I listen with my headphones while I sit on a chair and crochet. Very nice.
That's fair enough. That's right. That certainly sounds like a very relaxing way to listen.
Yeah, I mean, are you knitting a Fourth Doctor scarf or McCoy jumper?
I'm excited to reach the Fourth Doctor Adventure's got a long road ahead of me before I get there. Yes, Necromancer, you're doing the chronological of everything, aren't you?
Oh, that's a task and a half.
I mean, I'm sure you probably barely made a dent by this point. I think which you're on to Second Doctor, aren't you? Because you did Black Hole around the time we did.
I think Wheel in Space, I think, mentioned in the chat, I think. Remember seeing, I could be wrong.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
When I first got into Big Finish, it was mid last year. I didn't know where to start, but I got excited for the relaunch where I picked it up. There we go. Big Finish is relaunched, inspiring people.
Yeah, there we go.
I started about 10 years ago when I was 13 with spare parts. That's a solid one to kickstart. I guess it's nearly 10 years for us now, really.
Yeah, Necromancer has confirmed it's Wheel in Space.
There we go.
Yeah, to just getting onto the Zoe stuff there. We're getting a bit of Zagreus love in the chat as well.
Hey,
I think Stylish Person earlier was speaking about where is it? The Beyond War Games, The Final Beginning, that was it. Saying it has turned out to be one of his favourite Big Finishes after all. I'm just trying to find that comment. Here we go. Finished The Final Beginning, and it's definitely one of, if not my favourite Big Finish audio. So it'd be interesting to see what you make of Wrath of the Ice Warriors, now that you're onto that. I suppose, shall we return our attention back to the tier list and talk about the second box set, the most recent one, the 9, where the 9 himself features in the first story, Dreams of Avarice.
I really like the first 2 episodes of this.
Wow.
And then it's one of those ones where you look at it on paper and you think, has this got momentum to last 4 episodes? And sadly, it doesn't quite have it.
I think it could be like Trouble with Drax level of fun if it was a quick 2-parter.
Yeah.
But it does feel stretched out a bit and overstaying its welcome.
See, I really like the stuff in when the Fourth Doctor's locked up and he's tinkering with like the aircon unit and stuff. With like I love Cuthbert with it. Is it Cuthbert? I want to say something along those lines.
Yeah, that might be it. I'm just looking up the.
I'm gonna have a little look.
Probert, that's it.
Probert, there we go.
Yeah, played by Richard Dixon.
One again, I really like his companion of the week.
That's something very different. Like it's one that you could only really have as a companion of the week. Like, I think because he's someone who doesn't want to really be there for the adventure.
Yeah, it's a bit Duggany in a way.
Yeah, that's true. Again, they're sort of like in similar professions, aren't they?
Yeah.
Although this one, he's a bit more desk bound. I'd say, is Probert. Or he wants to be. He's not Deathbound much in this story, but yeah, he certainly suits that more. He's closer to retirement than he is to starting his career.
He just wants a quiet life, sit at his desk. But no, he's stuck with this lunatic who's trying to stop this person. It's a bit robot-y in a way, with sort of stealing these things to create something.
Yeah.
Venine, I like Venine as a character. That sort of, I guess, is Venine some sort of metatextual thing that it's us Doctor Who fans that we like shiny things and we have to have it.
There's a line in there, isn't it, that's very much poking fun at us Doctor Who fans and our collectomaniacs.
Yeah, it's got to look behind me.
I can't. Yeah, there's certainly a line in there. I can't pull it off on the top of my head, but yeah, it does poke fun a little bit.
There's not really much I can say about it, really. I think it's all right. It's more season 17 for me.
Yeah, it's fun that overstays its welcome.
Yeah,
which is a shame. It does sort of like end up leaving more of a sour taste in your mouth than you would like, especially from just the sheer joy of some stuff in the earlier parts. I think there's one very good transition in it when you're sort of like doing that Rose thing of zooming in down onto a planet. I think that's very well done, and the context there helps you know what's going on, so you can feel like you can see it as it wisps through the clouds down to the surface.
Yeah, because you've got like these rocket shoes, which feel very.
Yeah, you got those as well.
Like the humor is what makes this story memorable. Like when they're, I think, walking to see like the president in like the big office space, and it just takes for like it's a visual gag, but it works quite well on audio. But it's taken them a long time just to go and see the president of said planet.
Yeah, it's like Luxuriana is the name. And it's
Yeah,
like one of the richest planets. It's just there for people who have too much money. And so you've got these overly extravagant. Everything's overly extravagant, really, isn't it? In there.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I'd probably say a simple rewrite would have been sufficient.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with
because that's what we're saying, really. Just rewrite it to a two-parter.
Yeah, and it'd be grand.
Now, Shellshock. I mean, you let me have a bash at the Ravencliff Witch, so this one's all yours.
I see what you mean by it being sort of a Cameron, by saying it's sort of a poor man's no man's land, but I just really enjoyed it. I think it suited Tom's Doctor brilliantly. Just the idea of no man's land being utilized and these weird experiments going on these soldiers, that you have these pacifist and conscientious objectors turning around saying, yeah, we want to fight. It utilizes tanks, this new technology in warfare, and there's just so much to love within it, and Tom's on absolute fine form, really.
That's in some ways it's got a few War Games vibes as well.
It's very back and forth, isn't it?
Yeah, there's like a mystery going on again, and like you say, the back and forth nature of things are going on both sides of the lines, but it's much more about World War One itself rather than wars in general, as the War Games expands to. But nevertheless, you have that mystery starting off in the hospital, and it's nice how it expands from there. In a similar way to how War Games feels like you're going on a journey as you expand from the original setting of just World War One. This sort of like expands from that original setting of the hospital, and then more mysteries go on as you go throughout the story, before you eventually return to the hospital, and it comes full circle. And even though you're back in the same place where you started, you feel completely differently about it all. Hannah, a brilliant one-off companion in this as well. So I know he's certainly a lot less trusting of the Doctor at first, but gets won over by him. And I think, at first you have quite a few different potential one-off companions, don't you, who could have stuck with him for the rest of the story in the different soldiers that were there. One thing that did bother me a bit is like with those soldiers and such, and with the different villains as well, you sort of feel like they all sound quite similar with their German accents. I mean,
Yeah,
they've all got to have German accents, obviously,
yeah,
but yeah, I think some of them it's actors doubling up as well.
yeah.
And so
Christopher
I did,
Naylor's a
yeah,
memorable one.
yeah, I did find myself thinking, okay, which one's this again? Is this the nice one? Is this the slightly less nice one? Is this the poet? Is this?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think. Especially, there's a lot of comings and goings of those characters, and also they check because of the nature of what's going on at the hospital. Their personalities change as well, so that just leaves
yeah.
you a bit more confused at times as to who's who. But yeah, nevertheless, I think that's something that if you listen to it a couple of more times, you'll be able to pick it out more and work out who's who based on what's going on. So yeah, for the most part, I can't fault the story too much. I had a really good time with it, and yeah, it's a setting that, you know, even though you say it's a poor no man's land, I think you could do so many World War One settings, and we'd still be infinitely interested in it because there's so many great stories to tell there. It's such a visceral setting, something easy for us to picture instantly. So,
I think that's the thing. What appeals to me with like World War One stories, because at school you learn a bit about it. You more focus on the Second World War because it's more global. So I think there's
yeah,
always that odd fascination and curiosity with World War One, and I think that the setting just lends itself to Doctor Who. Like the action set pieces when they're sort of being shot in no man's land and they're in the trenches. You can just imagine sort of a quarry being used like a bit like Genesis of the Daleks.
yeah, you could definitely see it. It's a very Hinchcliffe era story.
Yeah, I just had a lot of fun with this one, and I think the setting really aids it. Really, there's a nice sort of atmosphere to it. Sort of give me a bit Project Twilight in a way, because that has people being experimented on in World War One by the Forge. So again, is, you know, No Man's Land copying Project Twilight? No, we forget about that. But it's an idea what's been done before, but that's most Doctor Who stories, and I love it. You know,
Yeah, but there's always a different way to tell a story.
yeah,
and I like the nature of the threat in this one. How it is more of, you know, an urge rather than an actual sentient threat. Yeah, I think that's quite interesting. And again, there's stuff like that's been done in Doctor Who before elsewhere, but it's still done really well here.
Yeah, just the idea of like these soldiers having nightmares about being swallowed up by the mud and engulfed, which I guess that would have been a genuine fear for them, you know, that their bodies had just been left in no man's land and just left to be engulfed by the mud.
It's nice exploring the tunnelers as well.
Yeah.
And realize what they are up to, because that's not something I'd really. Obviously, you'd know there would be people like that out there, but you don't consider it as much. It's not like something your mind instantly goes to when you're thinking, "Oh, World War One." So
yeah, because you just think, right, over the top, lads.
yeah, so I appreciate that, the involvement of that. So I mean, do you want to go ahead and stick it where we both know it's going?
Yeah, a bit up, not there. Just gotta scroll up a little bit more. Bam. For me, it's a top tier one. It's that nice slice of 72. What you can't go wrong with.
Yeah. Necromantia says a story like Shellshock would be great with Leela, putting her in one of the most violent conflicts in Earth history while the Doctor is tutoring her away from violence.
Well, imagine Leela getting experimental on, like, with her violent tendencies.
Yeah. And I imagine they'd want to enhance that even more, though.
Yeah, probably would, yeah.
That's what they're after in this. But yeah, so there's a nice little Sarah Jane reference, isn't there, in this one as well? Like when the Doctor's first brought into the hospital, they're like always muttering something about Sarah Jane.
That just makes your heart warm, though.
Yeah, it does.
It just makes it feels like it's part of the era even more. You know.
Yeah. Graphic. It makes you instantly realise, oh, that's the Doctor, because he hasn't actually said anything at that point. As this, even though you suspect it's him when they say about bringing this strange man in.
Yeah. Who else is it
It's
got to be?
It's a nice way to confirm it.
Yeah.
Without making it super obvious.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so we're near the end now. Now we've sort of like got the bonus story of the set, because originally when this box set was announced, before it was even called the 9, I mean, before we had any details on the relaunch, it was just going to be another 4-disc set, similar to what we had in series. Well, since series 7, when it went into box sets, they were always 4-discers.
Yeah.
But because of the relaunch, they said they were adding an extra 1-disc story in to like equal it out, which I'm not quite sure how that's worked out, because every other Doctor still only has 2 box sets and they're all 3 discs long. So this just gives Tom Baker even more. Not that we're complaining about more Tom Baker, obviously, and certainly not complaining about getting an extra story for free here with this one. But yeah, it does make you wonder, was there some plans changed at some point? Were they originally going to have 3 box sets for each Doctor? Because certainly Tom Baker's shifting to 3 box sets with Series 13.
I think that is going to come later down the line. I think 2023 will probably be the last year where it's 2 box sets. I think they will probably up it a bit more, I feel.
How much can our wallets go, especially with them getting more expensive?
I think that's when it's going to get down to, right, pick your favourite ranges and go from there, really.
Yeah. I suppose hopefully less like spin-off box sets and stuff, even as much as we loved them. Like specials like Peladon and such. Do we really need, can stuff like that not just be folded into the different Doctor Adventures box sets, really?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting sort to see the landscape of what it's going to be.
Yeah. Caleb Smith says, "Oh no, my wallet." Very much so.
I mean, it makes sense if you look at, what is it, the 2024, is it, or 2023, the Sea Level 4th Doctor series?
Yeah,
series
2024.
13, that's 3 box sets, so it makes me think that they're going to want to up it. Unless they've just recorded so much with Tom, they're like, we've just got to double our content, really.
Yeah.
Pump
I mean,
it out.
certainly with the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th Doctors, I could see them going up to 3 a year. But yeah, Peak Season itself, our bonus-free story. Could we have lived without it? Because the
yes,
unfortunate. It's a very long one. It's like, I think first part's nearly 40 minutes.
I think it's 36. I think 37, 36, 37.
37, yeah.
I
mean, Mervyn Peake is a wonderful character.
Yeah,
I love the exchanges at the start with him and the Doctor, where he mistakes
Tolkien, isn't it?
from Tolkien. And it's a great bit of fun at the end with that as well. But overall, I feel like there's some interesting concepts of like this weird realm, this like city that doesn't quite feel right. Like they're working as
cartoonists.
Yeah, cartoon. Well, like, I think one of them, Merv himself is the cartoonist, and then the Doctor's like the captioner, isn't he?
Yeah. They're like a bit of a double act, aren't they, really, in that?
Yeah. It just feels like it goes on a bit too long, and then by the end of it, you're wondering, what was the point?
You have a very hammy villain. Very hammy villain.
Yeah. Which worked all right in part 1, but I was over it by part 2.
I think it's got its moments, like you say, with Tom and Melvin.
Mervyn.
But Mervyn, yeah, I got it right first time. But I just think it just dips, and it's just a bit mediocre, really. Like, it has its moments of, oh, that's nice, but I can live without it. It's not one I will rush back and go, oh, I'll give that a listen again.
Yeah. I think like when I first heard we were getting these extra 2-parters, I was sort of put in the mind of Shadow of the Sun, where that was like an extra 2-parter, which we got sort of on the end of series 9 in a way, although not in the same way that this is very much part of series 11. And so I got my hopes up for something of that quality, but this isn't really that, sadly. I mean, hopefully the Ghost of Margaret, the sort of like additional one for series 12, works out a bit better. I think especially because that's got Margaret coming on as a proper companion, that's going to have more of a storyline to it, at least in the character interactions.
Yeah.
And so,
it does feel like filler, to be honest, this one.
Yeah,
it is very much a filler one.
We've like already had our greatness with Shellshock, and now we got this sort of tagged on to the end. The cover's not quite as grand as the others. To me, it did look a bit more like a short trip cover, but not in a bad way. It's still a good cover, and I'm happy we're getting an individual cover for it at all, especially in this day. But yeah, it didn't inspire much excitement for this story from me.
Yeah, it's not one I'm going to revisit in a hurry. It's got sort of a classic Elizabeth Mull trope in it.
Oh, what's that?
That sort of fantasy of a realm thing, isn't it? Because that seems to be like a thing she has in her stories. Like Grey Man of the Mountain, you go to like another realm.
Not quite a fantasy one though. But yeah, she does. I'm just looking at some of her other stories that she's done.
Yeah, it's a bit of a
the Bloodwoods. It doesn't quite have that to it. But yeah, certainly it didn't quite work out. I'd probably say it's a simple rewrite would have been sufficient.
Oh, for me, where would I put it? Just try to load up the tier list. I feel like it's, well, I'm not human, and I've heard better, to be honest.
I'm not sure whether I prefer this one to Dreams of Avarice or not. That's the thing.
I prefer Dreams of Avarice. I'll take Dreams of Avarice.
I think Dreams of Avarice has higher highs and lower lows.
Yeah.
Put it in I'm not human if you want. I feel like it would be a simple rewrite for me, but I don't feel strongly enough to defend it. Going any lower, so I'm happy with it going there.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you can't really complain because technically it's free if you get the 9 box set.
Yeah, like if you pre-ordered it ages ago and you got this one suddenly out of nowhere, that would have been a nice surprise.
Yeah, but yeah, for me, it's just a bit of filler. It's a bit of fluff. Harmless, but it's there. It's there if you want it.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the end of the Fourth Doctor solo travels, because next up we have New Frontiers as the next box set, where Margaret returns along with the Ice Warriors in Ice Heist.
That'd be exciting. But yeah, that is the tier list all done. Guess let's see what the old chat's saying, really.
Yeah. Yesterday says, are these tier lists saved anywhere? You can do your own ones. Actually, where is
if I can get the link, I can pop it in the chat, or I can put it in the description as well. Actually, once this stream's over, I'll see if I can pop that in the chat for you, so you can have a go yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose you can also save your own one, can't you? That you've filled in, and then we could stick that up on Twitter, maybe.
Yeah, if you do these tier lists, tag us on Twitter, and it'd be very interesting to know what you think. Whether you agree with our list or disagree, we're all here for different opinions, so we all respect that here.
Yeah. Certainly going to be interesting with this one. It'll probably take quite a few people a while. Yesterday says, thanks. You were very welcome yesterday. Nice. And we've got a thank you to say to you yesterday as well, don't we?
Yeah, thank you very much for the super chat. And because of your kindness, we feel like it's only fair that we give you something back by allowing you to pick a story for us to review. So if there's any story you fancy us reviewing, we'll do that for you, no problem. Because we appreciate all the support. We appreciate it all.
Yeah. Necromancer says, I need to do a full First Doctor tier list of all his books, TV episodes, and audios. Yeah, that is probably going to be even more chunky than that Fourth Doctor tier list, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose once you've done it, you can only just update like the big finish then. So it wouldn't be too much of a big task once you've completed it.
Yeah.
But I say all power to you for doing it and doing it chronological and having the willpower, because I feel like I'd get probably halfway through and go, no, not for me.
I'm in the mood for some Fourth Doctor now or something.
Yeah, because I like the idea of just cherry picking. Going, I'm in the mood for that Doctor tonight. I fancy that, you know.
Yeah. Hello, Casey Miller. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a good stream.
Yeah, I think we've had some
the news.
Yeah, nice little chats about different things. A few tangents early on, but yeah, we got to the Fourth Doctor tier list, the main event in the end.
There's a lot to say really about the news, because even though it's been quite light in Big Finish news, it's been quite heavy in like Doctor Who related news in the grand scheme of things, of like Sagan Akinola talking about the leak Reddit Big Finish.
Yeah, it's been quite a few like little things, but certainly enough to make a fair bit out of. Caleb Smith says, I want to crochet a season 18 Tom Baker scarf, but I can't find the right colours. Oh.
I swear there's like a website that helps with that, like the patterning and all that. So I'm sure.
Yeah, I imagine there are a lot of fans out there who have gone through the tireless work, and I think sometimes there's like, because of the differences of how things look on film versus videotape and how the colours are, there are like people who go into all the scientific research to try and work out exactly what it would be in real life there.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, it's next level work, that is.
Yeah, because the lining on the Fifth Doctor's shirt, well, not quite blazer, is much more orangey than you think it is. Like in pictures, it looks much more of a darker red, but actually, it's got much more of an orange tint to it in real life.
Yeah, because when you see it in person, it's quite a vibrant. I mean, I think they tried to replicate it on the 13 Doctor's Fifth Doctor figure in that set.
Yeah, Necromancer says it sounds boring, but it does add to the characters. I think the audios add a lot that isn't already there, like Ian and Barbara's growing relationship. Yeah,
I think
it's Transit of Venus one that is quite heavy on that one.
I think there's a book. I think is it 11th Tiger, which explores more on their relationship as well.
Or is that Emerald Tiger? Or is Emerald Tiger the
That's a Fifth Doctor one. That is the 11th Tiger is a PDA, and I think it. I mean, you'll like this because it links to Talon's Weng Chiang. I've not read it myself. I've got it. Most Doctor Who books, I have them. I've just not got around to reading them. I've got a lifetime to read them. So you know, that's the thing. I can't multitask. I can't. I've got to either be Big Finish or books. Yeah. Or I start reading a book and then a Big Finish drops, where I'm like, I'm really excited for this. So the book just gets pushed aside.
Yeah, that's a shame. It's just the way it is sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Payne Cyberman says, how much would it be to get you guys to do a tier list of a whole arc like the Hex arc?
Name your price.
Well, it'd be quite a lot for me because I've got to actually buy the majority of them.
So we can work it out. We can work some way of doing it.
There's certainly a few, maybe like some of the later arcs we could do. Maybe like it's not necessarily an arc, but the Flip and Constant stuff. Maybe we can tier list all of that because I think we've both got all that sort of stuff.
That hex arc is huge. I sympathise with anyone who tries to figure out the order. I've got it written down the actual order of the black and white TARDIS arc. So maybe we can do that in the future. You know, let's see where we go.
Probably a bit of a way off because that's a lot of homework as well.
A lot of homework, but I wouldn't rule it out. It's something I've been interested in doing. But yeah, I wouldn't say no to doing it at all.
Caleb Smith says, I need to listen to the last story of Silver and Ice and then Fourth Doctor Adventure box sets and Beyond War Games. Which ones should I listen to after the stream is done? I suppose Fourth Doctor Adventure would probably be fitting for this one. Solo. But yeah,
I'd maybe say Beyond War Games, to be honest. Just to experience that. But yeah, what would you say is, because you weren't too keen on the Rybos Inheritance, were you?
No. Did you ever get around to that one?
I'm halfway through it.
How are you finding it?
It's a bit. I don't know how I feel about it. It's all right.
It's hard to know what the focus of it's meant to be, I find.
Yeah, because it's trying to focus on like ice time, but then you've got sort of quite a bit Paradise Towery with like this computery voice, sort of pretending to be the gods to advise the king and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like I like the film style being used a bit more.
Nick Frontier says you have to listen to Project Nirvana immediately after part 1 of Black and White. It's so confusing. Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Yeah. Caleb Swift says, I enjoyed Bad Day in Tinseltown. I enjoyed Bad Day in Tinseltown a lot. I think more so than Ben did. That's my favourite of the set. By quite a bit.
I really like part 1 of Bad Day in Tinseltown. And then it's wrong to say that part 2 went full season 24 because that's what it's going for. But I feel like I need to revisit it to get a bit more out of it.
I got more out of it on second listen. It's a very tight script. Like there's a lot of stuff you don't necessarily pick up on early on in part 1 that makes perfect sense in part 2, particularly regarding like the character of Juno, like how that all plays out.
And it's a huge arc too. Like if we were to include Lone Seventh Trilogy, I've just lost where Project Nirvana, one-off Hex stories, and After Signs and Wonders. Yeah, it'll be like multiple seasons. Yeah, I feel like the Hex stuff just went on, and I think that's probably why they wanted a bit of a clean slate after when it got to like 200 monthly range releases.
Yeah. I suppose that's the thing with stuff like the Eighth Doctor with Stranded and Ravenous. At least those, it's sort of like clear how long it's going to run for.
Yeah.
Whereas when you had an ongoing main range arc, you don't know quite where you stand with it.
Because the weird thing is with like the Seventh Doctor, Lone and like Black and White TARDIS stuff is that you get so many stories what don't really equate to much, like Robophobia. And like I think Lurks at Sunlight Edge as well. It's just a different little thing.
Yeah. It's just like to have a story within the arc. That's not about it, isn't it? It's just like slotting in a regular adventure for the Doctor.
I mean, I will admit, A Death in a Family is an absolute banger of a story, and I really like Gods and Monsters because as a huge Curse of Fenric fan, I love it. I've got a soft spot for is it Revenge of a Swarm? Don't know why I enjoy that one.
I've got that one actually, but still haven't listened to it. That's one that had a very good trailer. That's all what made me get that one in the end.
I mean, Afterlife, that's a real. I say it's a good story, but it's probably got my favourite ever Seventh Doctor moment when he's saying that he's a space-time conundrum. It's probably one of the best McCoy moments, if not the best. I really enjoy that.
Brian Smith says, I've just finished A Haunting of Malkin Place. Very emotional ending.
That's a good. I enjoyed that one from memory.
Which Doctor's that? Oh, that's Fourth Doctor, isn't it?
Doctor,
That's on this very tier list.
Series 6. Where did we put it on the tier list, actually?
Yeah, let's have a check. I think maybe like
Humbug
or third.
worthy.
Is that
so
second?
it's third. Yeah, it's third.
There we go.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I like that one. Yeah, that's a question. What are people's favourite Big Finish arcs? Because Stylish Person said the Sixth Doctor and Jamie, which I think is a good set of stories. So what are people's favourite Big Finish arcs?
Necromantia said, I heard this Hex arc and Seventh Doctor changed because McCoy preferred being light-hearted, hence why we got the Ace to Smell stuff after. Yeah, that's an arc of sorts that we haven't heard from in a while.
Yeah, they've forgotten quite a few things, really. Yeah.
No, that's becoming the new Sixth Doctor and Perry, and that's again been left behind after volume 1 of that. Well, that's nearly 2 years ago now.
Yeah,
it was August 2020. We last heard from that ongoing arc.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what's weird about the relaunch with introducing. I can't remember Ruth Madley's character's name now. Hebe.
Yeah.
Is that you've already got both Flip and Constance stuff going on and the Perry stuff going on. Like, surely it would be good to wrap up at least one of those first before starting yet another Sixth Doctor ongoing arc. I spoke for the Seventh Doctor as well. We sort of got the Mag stuff ongoing as well.
I can live without that, though.
Yeah.
Hex. I mean, the Hex arc lasted 11 years, longest running arc by a lot. There we go. So that's the longest running arc.
Yeah. I do like a lot of the Hex stories they've done since and how they've sorted those back in.
I quite enjoyed World Apart. That was a nice one of Ace and Hex's relationship.
Yeah, that's just like them without the Seventh Doctor on a planet, isn't it? Yeah, that's a good one. And what was? Yeah, they've sort of like they had those. There's 4 2-parters with Hex, wasn't there? I think Shadow Planet, World Apart, Flying Dutchman, and Displaced. And so, similar to the Fourth Doctor box sets here, you've got 2 good ones and 2 not so good ones. But the 2 good one, you have to get the 2 not so good ones if you want to also get the 2 good ones because of how they ended up being divided up. Well, I mean, they were made about 2-3 years apart as well. Yes, and Displaced and World Apart are far above Shadow Planet and the Flying Dutchman. I mean, that was one of our least favourites of 2020, wasn't it, Flying Dutchman?
Yeah, it's a rough one. Necrantia's favourite arc is a Divergent arc. Love the 8th Doctor Charlie arc, and Don Warrington is flawless to the Rassilon. Yeah, I do like the 8 and Charlie stuff. It is a good stuff. I mean, that is a good sort of Webber title. I think that's probably Big Finish's first proper arc, really, isn't it? The Webber time.
Yeah, I imagine so. Because the year before that, it was all just standalone week stories with the 6th, 5th, and 7th Doctor.
Pain Time.
Hex came along, and was it like 40?
57,
50. Is that Harvest?
Where is it? Oh no, it's 58. Yeah, 58.
There you
go. Pain Simon. Currently, I'm listening to the Eramin arc. While it's good, it just doesn't hit the same as Evelyn or Hex. God, it hurts after listening to it too. I miss Hex and Ace so much. I'll be honest, I've not really experienced the Eramin stuff because I don't believe in it. Because it just lessens the K's Androzani regeneration. Like the idea of the 5th Doctor laying down his life to a complete stranger. It just has more weight to it than, oh yeah, we've had how many adventures? A load. I don't know. Maybe I could do like a little YouTube review series looking at it, whether I was wrong or right. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you can understand why they did stuff like that at first, because they only had Ela Sarah Sutton as Nyssa or Nicola Bryant as Perry available
I had
to them.
Turlo.
Oh yeah, they had Turlo as well. But even so, like with the Fifth Doctor, they were a bit more limited when it came to the companions. Like there were whole eras of his that were locked away, because it wasn't until 2014 that Matthew Waterhouse came back along and they were able to do anything really in season 19.
Yeah.
And then I think when Janet came along, when was Cobwebs? Was that 2008?
Yeah.
9?
Yeah, 2008, 2009. I think that's 130. It's in the 130s because Janet joined in, I think, 2006 in the Gathering, isn't it?
Yeah, I think she did the Gathering, but then that was just meant to be a one-off for her. She didn't like properly join until Cobwebs, and so they like got them all together and did the older Nyssa arc more out of like not quite necessity, but just the desire to have this crew of 4 of them all together again. And because they couldn't really slot anything in between Mordred Undead and Terminus, they had to create this new arc going forwards. And so that's how older Nyssa was kind of born.
That's an interesting arc, really. I mean, again, that took a while to end because wasn't it Entropy Plague when it ended?
That's 15. Yeah, that one's 15 stories long because it's like 5 different trilogies. So not too bad.
That's not too bad in the grand scheme of things.
I think they took a 1-year gap when you had that just Fifth Doctor Nyssa trilogy, Masquerade, Tomb Ship, and Moonflesh. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they took a 1-year break for that before they went back and finished it.
That has a weird arc. Where is it? Emily Bartholomew.
Oh yeah, there's like an extra little companion in there who doesn't come back until halfway through Tomb Ship, isn't it?
I only listened to Tomb Ship and I enjoyed it, and I tried Masquerade. I couldn't get into it, and I know Moonflesh isn't meant to be that good, so I sort of skipped it.
I think that was like early on when I was still getting into Big Finish, so it wasn't quite getting everything. So that ended up being skipped. It was only towards the end of that year with Masters of War and what was the story before that? Widow's Assassin, where I really got into the main range and collected it since there. That was like the beginning of my range collection, really. Now I've gone back and filled in a couple of gaps, but nothing too substantial.
Yeah, I think for me it was like 2015 when I decided to subscribe. So I've got a bit of a soft spot for like that E-Space trilogy.
Yeah, I think my first subscription was starting with Masters of Earth, but it was Rani Elite. My first subscription started with. I can't remember. I went 12 or 6 months for that. Everything else is okay. Or Necromantia. I don't like Necromantia, says Pain Cyberman. Oh, sorry, I didn't read the first message there. I'm going to be real with you. You're not missing out much with the RMM arc. You only fit things that really worth listening to are the Kingmaker, Eye of the Scorpion, and Roof of the World. Is it much of an arc for RMM though, or is it just like, a companion who's joined and then later leaves? Like you would, when you're thinking about the TV series, you wouldn't say the Joe arc when talking about Terror of the Autons 2. You'd more talk about like the E-Space trilogy as an arc or the Key to Time as an arc.
I mean, I did like the actual ending they had planned for RMM.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to explain what that was for anyone who doesn't know? Because it's like a mind wipe type scenario similar to Donna, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they would have mind wiped Six and Perry. And then Colin and Perry would go back and they'd have no memory of Erimim.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, that was like to try and explain how come she's never mentioned again in the Sixth Doctor audios.
Yeah, but I think I prefer that when Erebin falls in love and stays on Paladin.
Yeah. She gets written out quickly and they never have to think about her again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just one of the things that falls through the cracks in the transition from Russell to Briggs.
See, I mean, they're both very different eras of Big Finish, really.
Yeah.
Very different approaches and styles, really.
fun fact: The Roof of the World is the only story in Doctor Who history to be released while the author was in jail for a crime.
And not the person who wrote Necromancer.
Yeah, I think that author wasn't invited back either. Well, the Necromancer one certainly wasn't, but Roof of the Worlds. Has James Goss had any stories come out while he was in jail?
While he's in custody, I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that was a mad. I think I can't remember if it was on stream or after we finished the stream where we were looking up the Roof of the World writer. But we were like, this is insane.
Yeah, it is mental, really.
I think it was after a stream because we had Kai Casterbrus the Fibster with us.
Yeah.
And we suddenly just opened this whole can of worms as we were like looking at it. Why didn't this writer write for Big Finish again?
Oh, yeah. Probably best he didn't.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah, I can't. When was James Goss in custody from?
I don't know. But then again, I think James Goss has sort of been sort of on the back foot at the minute. I think he's probably recovering from 2020 from like all the Torchwood stuff he wrote.
Yeah, he did do a lot. I mean, his next Torchwood is Death in Venice in September. Was his last one before that? He did one in Nightmares. He did the last story in that, Less Majesty. That was April. I think it was like June he ended up in custody. We're looking into whether or not this
we're going
the Roof of the World author really is the only one who was in custody at the time.
That's a completely different rabbit hole. Erimim is a story that tries to have Hex's development in the sense that adventures are supposed to take more and more toll on her. Unfortunately, there's not enough stories to give her that. Getting more of that. I've lost where I was on the thing.
Oh, yeah, there's not enough stories to give her enough of the development, and Hex was a bit more of an interesting character to follow. I suppose that sounds like a bit of a redo of Tegan's arc.
Yeah, I guess.
If you can call it an arc.
Get back to Heathrow.
Yeah. Or more like her second reason for leaving.
Oh yeah,
where she's like, because it's taken a toll on her.
Yeah. Death. That's such a random departure.
It's going to be interesting. In 40, 42, the Autumn Infinity, because there is a line in the trailer where Tegan says, "Don't worry, Doctor, I'm not going anywhere." But she sounds a bit like heartbroken while saying it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, also like a bit frog in her throat about it. So it makes you wonder if maybe this story is going to be set not long before Resurrection of the Daleks, and she's like getting this thought in the back of her head now about it all. Yeah, I imagine it also because the Fifth Doctor's also got to find out that Nissa's now left.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah. Goodness.
And this weird ginger bloke has appeared in his ship.
Oh, I did really enjoy Roof of the World. For one of my favourite stories, Edward D'Souza's voice is so recognised, but I've not listened to it. I can only take your word for it. I think it sort of has a bit of Marco Polo feel, maybe because it's called Roof of the World. I sort of feel like it. I heard that it feels more like a companion chronicle in a way.
Oh, really?
I don't know how true that is. Again, I have barely touched the Erimim stuff. Apparently Briggs didn't like Erimim, so wrote her out quickly. He also wrote out Careers and Charlie because McGann was getting bored and always left, so he got Sheridan. I think it was with Divergent stuff, I think. What kind of put McGann off because he was like, I want to be a real Doctor. I don't want to be in this fake universe.
Yeah, and certainly relaunching him with Sheridan was definitely the right call there. And he's gone back to have more with Charlie since then. So like earlier on when things were a bit more simple and they could just have fun together.
Yeah.
If Tegan had been developed on more for her departure, it would have been one of the greatest departures as Necromancer. Yeah, agreed. I think it still hits very hard how quickly it happens because it's meant to shock the audience in the same way it shocks the Doctor. But yeah, I kind of agree. It would have been it would be better had it had that build up, but that's just not what a classic series really does. I think it certainly does give you that feel of the curtain is starting to fall on the Fifth Doctor now when Tegan leaves, because she's been there as
the long-standing
this
friend,
staple,
really.
yeah, of the era. And so now for her to leave like that, it does make you think that his days are numbered.
I don't think the Resurrection of the Daleks novel's meant to be any better. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a recent release, wasn't it? Well, probably about 2 years ago now, when I say recent, but
yeah. It's interesting looking at the Companions Big Finish crates now to what we got back in the day. I think that they're very, very different ilk now with the Companions they create.
This is much more modern for the most part.
Yeah.
Like with Hebe and Flip.
So I really like Flip. I'm a big fan of Flip.
Constance is a good one as well.
Yeah, they're good.
I think, and she was also something a bit different.
Yeah.
It's neat.
I mean, Crisscross is a good story. I wouldn't mind revisiting that one.
Yeah. Cyrus Person says the biggest development in Classic Who for a companion before Ace was Jamie becoming more knowledgeable and having a change of accent. Yeah, he softened quite a bit, didn't he, Jamie, as he went on?
Don't forget when we had Witches decapitated Fifth Doctor in a certain audio. I wonder what audio that is, Necromancy. Wink, wink. We don't talk about Hector Schofield and the most useless trilogy. I quite like Revenge of the Swarm in a way. I tried Mask of Tragedy. I couldn't get on with it at all, which is a bit bizarre, really, because I like James Goss.
It's weird that they like kept Hex on as Hector for like that one trilogy and then just moved on from it. It's just like,
we were like, yeah, maybe this is not the one, Chief. We're just gotta cut it now.
Yeah.
Like,
especially when you sort of have Gods and Monsters as this impactful ending, and then you got Afterlife as a bit of a epilogue to that, and then suddenly like, oh no, we've got a bit more to go. But rather than it being the start of this brand new era, it's suddenly just it's another epilogue in a way.
I guess it's a bit like, oh, it's near 200. We've kind of just got to wrap it up now for the new listeners.
Yeah.
Because We Are the Daleks is meant to be that, hey, get on board Big Finish, guys. And to an extent it is, really. It's a good jumping on point.
Then you got the weirdness that just before that you'd brought Perry back.
Yeah.
For a trilogy. Only to then instead bring on a new Sixth Doctor companion. I mean, we love that Sixth Doctor companion, but still.
When was Perry last back in the monthly range? It was the Memories of a Tyrant, wasn't it?
Yeah, Emissary of the Daleks, and then kind of Harry Houdini's War. There's a bit of a twist there. But... yeah, but that's younger Perry again, which I don't mind. It works, that trilogy. But we were sort of like wondering, oh, are we finally getting older Perry again after all this time?
Yeah, it's a bit.
But no, we got her in a box set instead.
Yeah, it's bizarre that. And then Flip hasn't even found Perry yet, I don't think, from the end of Scavenger, I think.
Well, I don't think they're meant to really cross paths. That was more because the whole Perry stuff's going on in between the Flip and then the Constant stuff. Then Flip comes back, but then she never mentions Perry because we can't reveal what happens to Perry at the end of her older Perry arc.
I'm sure Neff Fountain will get around to that eventually, because I feel like that will be... Neff Fountain's always given like the Perry heavy stories.
Yeah, that's like his baby. His wife.
And his wife, yeah.
It's his baby and his wife.
Yeah. Well, living the fan dream, you know. I want to start the Ninth Doctor Adventures, but I'm far behind. Yeah, it's so easy to fall behind with Big Finish because there's just there's a mountain always releases. Like we said last night when we were recording something else, what you'll find out later down in the year. That every week there's something new dropping, which is great. But you've just got to be really on your toes for it all. Really, you don't have time to have like a luxury of revisiting unless you want to have a massive backlog. You know?
Yeah, I'm getting through some of my backlog currently because luckily I had a bit of a break from new stuff, so I've been able to get through the whole of the Robots Volume 5. Finished that off at last. 2/3 of the way through the recent War Doctor Begins set Battlegrounds. Still not gone back and touched the Second Doctor Companion Chronicles Volume 3. Listen to the first story, and yeah, not quite mustered up the courage to go for the next one. Even though I feel like it seems to be a much better one. I don't know. I just haven't quite managed it yet. Although people are mentioning the boy that time forgot in the chat.
That's a weird audio.
There's so much weird stuff like the time in Big Finish where they didn't quite have every actor available to them. And you can see they were getting itchy feet and wanted to do stuff that they probably shouldn't have done.
Oh, the Thomas Brewster stuff's a bit of a weird one. Yeah. It's a weird one.
But necessarily, you could see there's more experimental stuff early on, but there's a lot of stuff that doesn't quite pay off.
No.
I think it's weird. You get some stuff that's almost like just removed from canon through not being mentioned. There's never an official statement like, "Oh yeah, this isn't canon anymore," because some will still argue that none of Big Finish is canon, as if canon really matters to Doctor Who. But yeah, it is sort of a bit of a odd one. It's like canon is basically just what matters to the story at hand.
Yeah. We need Katarina back now as a cockroach queen. I mean, they have technically recast Katarina, so hey, bring on cockroach queen. Oh damn.
Caleb Swift says, I want a box set like Peladon, but set on Ice World. Oh.
That'd be interesting.
I think certainly Ice World would be an interesting place to go back to. Big Finish 60th confirmed, the girl who time forgot.
There we go.
Ideas about this person.
That's a massive Kahuna release. Oh man.
I think before the chat gives Big Finish any more terrible ideas, should we bring this baby to a close?
Yeah, it's yeah. I guess it is that time. So next week is it? Is it next Friday? You're not here, or is it? Am I getting mixed up?
Friday after, right? Yeah,
Friday
so
after.
Next Friday will be it'll be our last Friday stream for a little while.
Yeah, I'm just. I don't know if it is it next Friday. I can't. I'll figure it out. So
we'll do it at some point soon.
Yeah,
we will be doing the Ice Warrior tier list as we mentioned earlier. We'll be going through the TV stories. We saw like it's a little series of ours, isn't it? Really, where we tier list a monster's TV stories. We've done the Daleks, Cybermen, Sontarans, and the Silurians and Sea Devils together. So it's been a little while since we touched that because that was just after Legend of Sea Devils came out. We did the Sea Devil one.
Yeah, it was like a day after, wasn't it? I think.
I think we had a Weeping Angel one planned as well to tie in with Wink, but then Wink came and
went
in the wink of an eye.
Yeah,
that one flew past us, and we were like a bit. We had other stuff going on at the time, so we weren't quite able to do that one. And by the time we could do it, felt like a bit too late. So maybe we'll do that one like Halloween, perhaps. Be a good time for that.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. We've got the Ice Warriors. We're in an Ice Warrior mood after Wrath of the Ice Warriors. So that'd be a good. I do
love me some Ice Warriors.
Close out July's streams, I guess.
Yeah. That'd be good. So I guess that's us done for tonight, really. Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much. Glad you enjoyed the stream. It's always a pleasure doing it. Pleasure talking to all you lovely people in the chat, and you lurkers watching. We appreciate you. It's just been fun talking about Big Finish and Doctor Who, really. It's always a joy.
Yeah, so it's been a joy having a very active chat this evening.
Yeah,
well.
it's been nice to get more of a wider spectrum of opinions on Big Finish arcs and joke about the cockroach queen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the benefit of us starting a bit earlier as well recently, isn't it? I think more people are awake and around earlier to join us. Thank you all for doing so and tuning in.
I think going forward, I think it's probably best we start keep it early. I think that's we've learned now. I think.
Yeah, let us know if you agree there about the early stream.
Yeah, if you prefer it being a little bit earlier. Better get back to Wheel in Space. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know where you are at when you're with the marathon. See whether you're still on second Doctor or what. But
we'll get a weekly or so update from you there. See where things are at.
See how you're going. And thankfully, the spammers have vanished this week. Yeah, Troughton brought in the spammers, but Tom Baker must have shut the door and said no, not today. But yeah, that's all good. So we shall see you next week for the Ice Warriors.
Stack off. Yeah.
Right, I shall
take care, everyone.
We shall see you later. Goodbye.
Stay cool.
Yeah, stay cool.
Ice Warriors.
There we go. Got to end with a pun. Yeah, so thank you, everyone, and we shall see you for the Ice Warriors. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.